A lot of people experience or have experienced narcissistic abuse, which is something very hard to deal with. Therefore, it's important to learn how to recognize narcissistic behavior and, more importantly, how to deal with it. To do that, knowledge is necessary because knowledge can help you with validating your experience and help to realize what's going on. The narcissistic abuse cycle describes the stages of abusive behavior of narcissists when in a relationship with them. Mostly, we use it to describe the unhealthy dynamics in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, but it could also give some insights into familial relationships, such as the relationship with a narcissistic parent. Narcissistic abuse is something very brutal, and to experience it is a draining experience. It's very personal, emotional, painful, and it can push a victim into very unhealthy thinking patterns. There is also hope, however. To me, this hope starts with knowledge and recognizing what is going on. Knowledge about narcissistic abuse is essential to be able to take over control again, protect yourself, and start healing. Know this is possible and that you can overcome this. Personally, I grew up with a narcissistic father, and because of this experience, I want to offer my help to others in how to deal with narcissists. After recognizing what's going on, I think it's essential to shift the attention to yourself again. Eventually, you will deal with narcissists by focusing on yourself. This means taking small steps in the right direction again. It means focusing on your self-worth and energy, learning to set boundaries to protect yourself, and to be independent and happy with yourself. Now, when I wrote my article about this subject, I made this overview of the cycle, which I will explain in this video. I've learned that in a way, although there are many different forms of narcissism, narcissists are quite predictable, which allows us to see certain patterns in their behavior. The pattern of an emotionally abusive relationship consists of stages of idealization, devaluing, and discarding. This cycle is a repetitive cycle where, additionally, a narcissist could try to hoover you back into the relationship after breaking the cycle. Basically, this overview shows the extent of possible manipulative behavior of narcissists. I have combined the stages with the possible behavior of a narcissist that could be shown in that stage. Clearly, all this manipulative behavior leads to very unhealthy dynamics, and in my opinion, the only real solution to protect yourself and your energy is to break the cycle and go into a no-contact situation. Now, a relationship can go endlessly through this cycle until you recognize it and you manage to stop the cycle. It can be very challenging or maybe even feel impossible to definitively break the cycle. It can even be more challenging to not be sucked back into it. I will now walk you through the stages. Now, the first stage of the narcissistic abuse cycle is idealization. This is where you will get showered with attention, care, compliments, and they try to win you over, mostly in an overwhelming way. A perfect picture will be painted, and they can show a great amount of loving behavior. You are the special one, their soulmate, or the love of their life. A narcissist can be very charming, intelligent, and it can feel very intense. They can make you feel great about yourself for a while and give you all of their attention. In this stage, a narcissist learns a lot about you, such as your strengths, weaknesses, and insecurities. In the idealization stage, it can be very hard to recognize what's going on. Some narcissists could actually think they are in love, and it could feel very real to them. As long as you fulfill their needs, they will idealize you, and you could seem perfect to them. The problem is that it will be impossible to fulfill their needs, especially in the long term. You would need to become less like yourself, cross your boundaries more and more, and basically this has to grow into an unequal relationship. At some point, you thus won't be able to fulfill the narcissist's unending needs anymore, and this is where the idealization stage will slowly end. Your intuition will probably give you signals that something isn't right. When still in the idealization phase, it's also likely that you ignore your intuition or possible red flags. It's actually very hard to recognize this turning point where the idealization ends and devaluation slowly starts. Know that you can blame yourself for not seeing or recognizing what's going on in this phase. You could become addicted to the overwhelming love and feel like you're the center of their world. In reality, the narcissist becomes the center of your world and you try to become their perfect partner. You will start to see the hidden truth of the narcissist when the relationship moves into the next stage of devaluation. Now, the second stage of devaluing follows after the idealization stage. This stage can start in a stealthy and slow and manipulative way. When this has started, your intuition will probably send you more messages. You could feel something has changed, but you can't really tell what. This is also where you might start to question yourself and get some doubts. The stage of devaluing is where the narcissist withdraws the earlier idealization and shows increasingly more manipulative and abusive behavior, such as blaming, mirroring, and gaslighting you. What's important to realize is that a narcissist could constantly go back and forth between idealization and devaluing, depending on how you react. It's basically a process of slowly crossing your boundaries and testing you while they still feel in control. A narcissist will not give any explanation why their behavior changed. They could start to show idealizing behavior and attention to others by praising others, flirting, or flattering others. In this phase, at the same time, you will possibly also get criticism, insults, rage, and a lot of frustration thrown at you. Everything they do thus shows they can be nice to others, but you become the negative exception and appear to not be worthy of their love. It seems they lost interest in you, and the cruel thing is that you might think or believe it's because of you. Their aim and the danger is that you start to doubt yourself, basically become under their control due to their manipulation. You could become anxious, doubtful, less confident, feel drained, and in general feel less like yourself. When their idealization act stops, it's like their mask falls off completely. This can be hard to process. The narcissist turns things around on you all the time and could try to gaslight you so you appear as the crazy one. A narcissist will customize their behavior to who you are or what behavior they are capable of. What can make this even harder is that people in your environment could be very positive about the narcissist and think you're lucky to have a relationship with this person. Sadly, this might make you doubt yourself even more. Now, the discrepancy between your positive view of this person as being a loving person and their actual manipulative behavior can cause a feeling of discomfort and anxiety. This discomfort is called cognitive dissonance. Their actions basically aren't consistent with how you see them, and your mind will search for ways to reduce this discomfort. It can create an unhealthy state of being anxious and confused. I wrote an in-depth article explaining cognitive dissonance and how to deal with this. I recommend reading it as it's a very important subject when it comes to recognizing what's going on and turning the effects around. The silent treatment, lack of affection, and stonewalling are passive-aggressive tactics and can be very frustrating and painful. I've put this behavior between devaluing behavior and the discard stage, as these are devaluing methods using a withdrawal of communication and they use distance to manipulate. You can learn more about the silent treatment in my video going into this manipulative behavior specifically. Now, the discard stage is the last stage and can come out of nowhere, and everything may seem fine right before. You might get a call, text, or message dismissing you in a cold manner. They could say you're crazy or psycho, or even use a smear campaign where they try to hurt you and blame you for everything. They could also ghost you and abandon you without any communication. Clearly, it's all very brutal behavior. You suddenly are worth nothing to them. Sadly, this was true to them from the start, and you were only an object to fulfill their needs. It's all conditional. What's even more painful is that there won't be any answers, closure, apologies, or a normal conversation. It's very hard to deal with this. To finish off the cycle, after the discard, a narcissist could try to suck you back into a relationship and then you're back in the cycle. Hoovering is a narcissist trying to bait you into breaking no contact and re-engaging with the narcissist. You can learn more about this behavior in my article about hoovering, which you can find in the subscription. So, to conclude, there is no doubt the only real solution is to eventually manage to break the cycle and to go no contact. This is not easy, and you might need time to first emotionally detach from the narcissist. You could use the grey rock method to do this when going no contact with the narcissist is not an option right away. Narcissistic abuse is very personal and hard to deal with. It's very important to recognize what's going on. It can especially be useful to learn about gaslighting and cognitive dissonance. You could feel very doubtful, anxious, and confused. This is not who you are. You need to realize this. Now, I know this might be a lot of information and possibly a lot to process. I would like to end with this overview, which shows my view and underlying structure of my website. It starts with attention on the narcissist and their manipulative behavior. But the aim is to eventually shift your attention to yourself. We all know the expression knowledge is power, which is very true when dealing with narcissists. You need to know what's going on and become aware of whether someone is manipulating you. Because if so, you need to realize this person is showing unhealthy and manipulative behavior in order to validate your experience. A narcissist can push you into the wrong direction of having lower self-worth, doubts, and feeling less like yourself. And therefore, it's time to start taking small steps in the right direction again. It's important and necessary to focus more on yourself and your energy. You deserve your own kindness and attention. I hope this video and my website can provide some insights and help you when dealing with narcissistic abuse. I wish you strength and more kindness in the future.